this field test that we're conducting today is an example of the rapid prototyping work that we're doing with the National Oceans and Applications Research Center. Our governor commissioned NORRIS to take advantage of the very rich and diverse set of environmental monitoring technologies that we've developed over the years here in Mississippi, and he wanted us to apply those as we began to restore and replenish our natural coastal resources that have been damaged over the last several years by hurricanes and oil spills and other natural catastrophes. And so this work that we're demonstrating today is a proof of concept that shows how we'll use a set of technologies, autonomous technologies as the host platform, a new set of instrumentation, and a larger survey vessel for command and control, will allow us to test these technologies for baseline mapping of oyster reefs. Now that's important to us because of some of the restoration objectives that we have in this area. The governor commissioned an oyster council this past spring, and one of the outcomes of that oyster council was a goal of producing over 1 million sacks of oysters by 2025. Last year, the estimated production of on our natural reefs was around 25,000 sacks of oysters. So you see we have a long way to go. And so one of the recommendations coming out of the Oyster Council was to use new technologies in a very detailed way to provide baseline maps and baseline imagery over these oyster reefs so we can know where they are, what their configuration is at the moment, and how we can restore those with additional materials and with a very comprehensive management program, increase production of the oyster reefs. It's important that remember that NORRIS is a nonprofit corporation, a development corporation, and its express purpose is to rapidly prototype advanced applications that we'll use in coastal restoration areas. But the very fact that it's a nonprofit says that we can bring multiple organizations, both public and private and academia, together to conduct these projects in a way that those organizations can't conduct by themselves. And so NORRIS really represents an umbrella under which these rapidly prototyped applications will be produced and tested. And that's an example of something that we're doing today. Today, of course, we're focused on baseline mapping of oyster reefs, but our autonomous vessel, the Seaworker 6, the EdgeTech 6205 bathymetric instrument that we are testing today has much broader application for coastal mapping. The NOAA Office of Coast Survey is represented here today, and they're very interested in autonomous applications and the applications of this instrument. The Corps of Engineers is with us today witnessing this demonstration, and their coastal mapping program in shallow water is very interested in autonomous applications and employing this new instrument because until recently we weren't able to map the bottom at this level of detail. It wasn't cost effective, but this new instrument allows us to do so.
The vehicle that you're looking at now is a Seaworker 6 unmanned surface vehicle. It has dual diesel generators, 13 kW generators. It'll go for about a month at 4 knots in an unmanned mode. It can operate over it's monitored over a telemetry link, a radio link from a mothership or even over satellite. We can operate the boat over satellite, and that way it can be operated from an office anywhere in Mississippi, or for that matter, anywhere in the world.
What is it doing here today?
So today the unmanned boat is being used to map some of the oyster reefs to help develop the technology and the science necessary to promote oyster development in the region.
Your reaction to the potential that this new technology offers for the entire Mississippi Gulf Coast?
The unmanned boat technology is fascinating, and we're really revolutionizing the whole maritime industry worldwide. It's a great opportunity. We've already developed about 75 unmanned boats which are being used around the world. We really lead the world in this technology. We're very interested in working in Mississippi to develop this technology more. I think it can revolutionize the entire maritime industry, and certainly be helpful along the coast of Mississippi to further map the area, to develop oil and gas potential of the area, and certainly for the maritime fishing industry. We're inside the survey control room of the motor vessel Blake survey vessel for David Evans Associates, and you can see some of the instrumentation in the background and along the wall here. For example, on the left-hand side, this is the side scan sonar, which takes an acoustic picture of the ocean bottom. We also have our control for our GPS and monitoring our GPS positioning. Also, towards the right, we have our multi-beam sonar system, so that takes soundings across a wide swath. Soundings across a wide swath of the ocean bottom as we proceed. Now, all of that equipment is on this survey vessel. We also have an autonomous surface vehicle, or an ASV, that we're operating. As you can see here is our station for our autonomous surface vehicle, or ASV, unmanned boat. So we have a screen where we're running the survey lines and we can see where the boat is. We have a screen where we're seeing camera visuals from the unmanned boat itself. The unmanned boat will operate all by itself. He's got a hand controller, so if there's something in the way, he can deviate around. For example, a crab trap or something like that. If a buoy's on the water, he can go around it. So the unmanned boat is running adjacent survey lines to the mothership. So we're really covering twice the area that we would normally cover. This third set of screens is the sonar system that we have on the ASV, the unmanned boat. And that's a state-of-the-art EdgeTech sonar that gets very wide coverage, so you get very high productivity as you proceed. So it gets imagery of the bottom and it gets depths. And in this case, the real advantage is that you're going to be able to identify where the oyster reefs are and where they're not, and where you put your seed information out to get the oysters to grow and really help develop the oyster industry in Mississippi. What we've learned in today's test is that we can take advantage of the new unmanned vessel technology and sonar technology to dramatically improve our position with the development of the oyster reef business and oyster fishing business in Mississippi. So we can map these areas in a much more efficient way with the latest technology and work with the scientists in the state to really accelerate the growth of that business.
And now we're going to talk about other applications other than oysters. So start off by saying, in addition to oysters, then tell me what else we can do.
In addition to work in developing the oyster fishing business, the unmanned vessel technology is used in a variety of things, from different sonar type technology, marine mammal tracking, loop current monitoring, marine spill, oil spill technology, for example, putting out dispersant, pulling booms. There's endless applications for the unmanned boat. Every time we talk to somebody else will come out with a new application that we would have never thought of. It's like you invented the pickup truck and there's a bed on the pickup truck and that's the unmanned boat. Whatever you want to put in it and you can go to work. So it's really exciting. We've made 75 unmanned boats so far, and it's really revolutionizing the whole maritime industry worldwide. Mississippi is really on the cutting edge of utilizing the state-of-the-art sonar technology and unmanned vessel technology to capitalize on improving the fishing industry in Mississippi. They're really ahead of the pack by a long ways, ahead of all 50 states for sure. My reaction to what we've seen today is that we can have very comprehensive surveys done of these marine areas, much more effective than what we've had in the past. And it allows the researchers to really concentrate on what they need to do to grow this industry in a very aggressive way.
The vessel that we're on here today is the survey vessel Blake. It was named after the Office of Coast Survey ship that did the first charting of the Gulf of Mexico. And the primary role of this boat is doing surveys of the Gulf in support of the National Ocean Service.
Tell us about the technology that is being invoked here today.
Right, so we're using side scan imagery to develop a two-dimensional wide swath image of the seafloor. And then as we're running along, we're also collecting three-dimensional depth data or bathymetric data to do three-dimensional mapping of the seafloor.
Tell us about the technology that's employed here compared to what may be available in other parts of the country. How new is this technology?
Multi-beam and side scan is pretty well proven technology. Probably the shallow water multi-beam really came on to full swing in the late 90s. One of the systems that the autonomous platform is using is a combined side scan bathymetric sonar system to improve the wide swath width that we can get in shallow water that we're on some of these reefs.
What potential does this offer for the entire Mississippi Gulf Coast?
So a lot of the Mississippi Gulf Coast and Mississippi Sound is what we would call relatively shallow water. So it takes a lot of survey lines to kind of get that kind of coverage. And with systems like the EdgeTech 6205 that's being run on the ASV, we'll be able to run a little bit wider swath width and get some higher resolution imagery from the system.
Your reaction to everything that you've seen and heard here today?
The ASV systems are still in the prove-out stage, but things are coming together to where we think by next year we'll be able to put some of these into production moving forward. It's certainly an increased production. You can see a large platform like this. If we can have a platform running in parallel with this, it will certainly increase production by 2 to 3 times.
Today, it's exciting to see how we can utilize technology as a tool to help us better manage the natural resources and hopefully revitalize the resource that's depleted.
Tell us a little bit about your office and its relationship to developing the oyster reefs in Mississippi.
Yeah, our job is to manage and enhance the resource. We do that through culture plants and by monitoring the resource availability and making sure that it's not over-harvested.
Tell us the status of Mississippi oysters today compared to maybe 10 years ago.
There's been a pretty good decline in the last 10 years since we've had a lot of natural disasters and weather events that just have piled up and really prohibited the growth of the resource.
And what potential does this new technology offer to enhancing the Mississippi resource of oysters?
It can give us a better understanding of how the bottom's laid and exactly where the resource needs replenishing and where it doesn't need replenishing, and it just gives us an edge on how we do the plants and where we do the coast plants. Mississippi oysters are important because they have a big economic impact. They create a lot of jobs, and a lot of families depend on Mississippi oysters, and they're shipped all over the country, and they're highly sought after.
Are you encouraged by the potential that this technology offers?
I am, yes.
We just witnessed the field test here at St. Joe Reef, and what we realized, what's been so impressive, is the coverage area that can be done with this autonomous vehicle. Traditionally, we have to send individual boats out with people to do soundings, to do more rudimentary way of getting the information we need. So covering more area, getting more detailed information, it's very valuable to us as resource managers.
What can this mean for the Mississippi Gulf Coast?
Well, it helps us prioritize our resources. What it can mean is we can more quickly know where we are with our current natural resources, and then make better management decisions to truly restore our natural resources, in this case, oyster habitat.
Are you encouraged by the potential this offers?
We're incredibly encouraged by it. Obviously, this level of technology and sophistication is not something that we have readily available as a state agency, but something that we can use for a whole host of reasons. So we're very excited about it.
NOAA is interested in this project because new technology is really a key aspect to updating the charts and updating the waters of the coastal U.S. that we have the responsibility for, we have this enormous backlog of areas that we haven't surveyed in decades, and it's only through the use of new technology and autonomous vehicles like we're seeing today that are going to allow us to get the coverage and to get the data of these areas at a level that we can actually stay up in terms of updating our charts, keeping them relevant, and actually keeping them accurate throughout the entire Gulf Coast.
After sitting through the control room, what are your observations and conclusions?
Oh, sitting in the control room, you can actually see the next generation of technology right there in front of us. I mean, high resolution sonar, imaging the entire bottom, looking at the oyster reef that we're over top of right now, and seeing actually the displays of an autonomous survey vessel on one desk and the work of this survey ship, the Blake, on the other desk, working in synchronization across this wide area. We're accumulating and actually collecting data across the water bottom at a level that we've never seen before ever in terms of our history at Coast Survey. We're also seeing it done by new technology as these autonomous vessels are showing that operationally can collect far more data for weeks at a time that we can never hope with actual ships with people on board.
Your feeling about the role that NOARC is playing in this project?
NOARC is really on the front edge in terms of introducing technology, in terms of mapping Mississippi state waters, and that's really a key issue. After Katrina and after Deepwater Horizon, the whole effort of looking at how we can restore and improve our state waters off the Mississippi coast obviously needed the work of NOARC to introduce the technology and the advancements to actually assist in that mission. And that's really one of the key aspects I hand to the state and to NOARC in terms of recognizing that new technology used in the efforts that they're seeing in terms of coastal restoration can be a very important part and a very key resource for the future for them.
I just viewed the demonstration, and I think it's wonderful to see how much technology has improved and advanced over time.
What dimensions do you see to be able to use this for in the Mississippi Gulf Coast?
First of all, it's great to get baseline information. As you stand out on a boat and you look, what you see is the water, and you don't see what's on the bottom. So you don't get to see all the oyster reefs, or even a crab pot that's down there, or even whether it's sand or mud. And so what this technology allows us to do is really get a view below just the surface of the water, so we can see what the habitats are that we are dealing with. The baseline information is used by us not only to look at what's there already, but ways we can restore and enhance what's there. As a scientist, I've learned that this technology that we are viewing is going to be able to provide us with a wealth of information as we move forward in restoration in the state of Mississippi. What we'll be able to do is look at what's there, determine the resources that we have, and then look at ways to enhance those resources by whether it's putting out mulch material, whether it's protecting certain areas from harvest, or whether it's just making sure that people know that that resource is available.
I just finished watching the field tests, and it's really exciting new applications of science. At University of Southern Mississippi, we train and teach hydrographers at the undergraduate and graduate level, and they come out and are going to be expected to employ these systems, and we are finding how far we can stretch science to get fascinating information of the sea bottom, and in this case looking at oyster reefs, and hopefully we'll be able to track the oyster reefs over time and see how they're surviving, and if they're thriving, understand why. If they need some help, understand where those problems might arise.
What other applications do you see for this along the Mississippi Gulf Coast?
Well, of course, the fundamental reason of employing this sort of equipment is safety of navigation. And we've got new ports going in. The city of Gulfport is attracting new sorts of vessels. This sort of technology is made to ensure that the water depth is sufficient and you can navigate safely in.
Are you optimistic from everything that you've seen and heard here today?
Oh, this is exciting. We are really happy to be a part of this as a long-term study of the Mississippi Sound ecosystem, and hopefully generate a lot of new technology on the Gulf Coast.
It's a pretty amazing new technology that we're looking at. We're using really an old way of mapping the seabed, but on a new platform and a new very efficient way of doing things. So we're saving time, money, and really improving the way that we're collecting and improving our knowledge about the seabed.
What have you learned from today's field test?
That this is a successful and good way to collect data in this area. Mississippi Sound is a very unique region. It's incredibly shallow, but there's a lot of diversity on what's going on the seabed. When we look out over the water, we just see the surface of the water, but there's a lot going on underneath of it. So this technology is allowing us to explore what's happening on the seabed and better understand the habitats, the environment, hazards to navigation, and so on.
It's really exciting technology that's been developed and is now becoming, or is operational. And it's exciting for the state of Mississippi because given circumstances, we have to do a whole lot of monitoring, and we should be, and mapping of the Mississippi Sound. And it's a great opportunity to deploy new technology to do that more efficiently and more effectively, and at the same time proving out technologies. So I think it's important from the aspect of potential economic development for the state of Mississippi that this state embraces and is on the forefront of new technology development. And NORRIS can play a role in facilitating that.
What potential does this offer for the ports along the Mississippi Gulf Coast?
Well, the Port of Gulfport, at our last commission meeting, approved a memorandum of understanding between the Port of Gulfport and NORRIS. And what the port is going to provide is basically a testing ground for NORRIS to do what we're doing today, but as it relates to ship channels and harbors. And so we're going to provide a platform for them to have a testing area, basically. And so it's an exciting opportunity. The Port of Gulfport can support NORRIS and support institutions like the University of Southern Mississippi and their Marine Science Department. The applications could be, endless. Hopefully they develop out the technology and ports across the country start using it. So, and it will originally been tested out at the Port of Gulfport. So it's an exciting opportunity for us.
Are you optimistic about everything that you've seen and heard here today?
Absolutely. I mean, this is this new age, the way the world is going, and we're extremely happy that the state of Mississippi and South Mississippi is playing a role in that. So I think there's enormous opportunities between our University of Southern Mississippi and potential development opportunities for South Mississippi through technology development and new emerging companies and that sort of thing. So we're very excited and optimistic about what this could ultimately mean in the long term to South Mississippi.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is heavily involved in the nation's marine highways, particularly the maintenance and operation of those systems, both inland and coastal. In Mobile District alone, we operate well over 2,000 miles of waterway, including many of our coastal ports, 7 deep draft ports along the Gulf of Mexico, and 15 or 16 shallow draft ports. So it's a pretty challenging mission to collect and analyze all the data associated with that. Well, I think this is a terrific technology that we're looking at today, evaluating for its application for the Corps mission. We, like many other federal agencies, are faced with doing more with less, and the way we've been able to do that successfully through the years is by leveraging technology and the capability of our contracting partners out there. So we think this has strong potential to fill some of the niches that we need as far as collecting coastal surveying data.
Your reaction to everything that you've seen and heard?
So far it's been very positive. I think it has every potential to be a good product, a good system. We're kind of excited about the possibilities it presents for us. It'll allow us to fill some gaps in our surveying information. The Mobile District operates the Joint Airborne LIDAR Bathymetric Center of Technical Expertise over here in Kill, Mississippi. And we do coastal surveying on a nationwide, really worldwide basis with our Navy partners, but we're constantly, as we deal with issues like sea level rise and so forth, seeing more and more need for this sort of data. This shows us a potential means of safely and efficiently collecting nearshore data, which is often a gap that we have to fill with conventional sonar systems.
Well, it's an honor to be out here representing Senator Cochran. Oysters are such an important part of the Mississippi Gulf Coast to the economy and to the culture as well. And you know, in trying to restore the oyster population is a very important priority for the senator. And it's great that you know, that the technology and innovations that are going into that. And you know, it's just an honor to be a part of this, you know, and to be an observer to the field test that is happening today to better learn more about St. Joe Oyster Reef, and you know, and to get the necessary data and information that's required in order to help, you know, enhance it and make it more of a, you know, of an oyster production resource for the coast, and in helping to achieve the recommendations that the Oyster Council made to the governor, and then the governor's task to go out and achieve that, and everybody working together to help restore such an important natural resource.
Your reaction to everything that you've seen and heard so far?
You know, just, you know, a lot of intelligent people out. You know, I don't come from a scientific background, but you know, there's such a, you know, a great collection of people that put in a lot of work to really try to, and you know, and are committed to the goal of restoring the oyster production, and everybody's just working, you know, just the teamwork that's going into this. And you know, it's, you know, it's even making me want to, you know, I love raw oysters, so in a day like this is a raw oyster type day. And so, you know, and seeing you kind of take for granted about all the hard work that goes into before that plate of raw oysters, you know, gets on your plate. So, you know, just the teamwork and the collaborative effort that's gone into this, you know, that's been really impressive.
Go ahead and get started. If I could get the correct spelling on your name and your title, please.
Captain Richard Brennan. Last name is BRENNAN, and I'm the chief of the Coast Survey Development Lab at NOAA.
So you're with NOAA.
I'm with NOAA.
And NOAA is National
Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Good. Tell us a little bit about what are we doing here today?
Well, we're here to test the ASV Global Sea Worker and the EdgeTech 6205 sonar, and do a survey over the St. Joe Reef and evaluate those two systems. Certainly the technologies that we're looking at offer great potential for mapping those, monitoring them, and ensuring the health of those reefs. So I think that's safe to say.
What is the key technology that we're deploying here this week?
Well, we've got two technologies that I think are really interesting and that NOAA is very interested in, and that is the 6205, the EdgeTech 6205, which is a phase differencing bathymetric side scan sonar. So that allows both bathymetry and imagery to be acquired at the same time at a very high resolution, which is unique, and it offers the potential, at least, and we're going to be evaluating that, of getting a wider swath coverage in very shallow water, which is what we have here over the reef site. The other interesting technology that we have is the Sea Worker ASV, the autonomous surface vessel, and that has the ability to work autonomously, which means that hopefully we can use our manpower more efficiently and more smartly and deploy the human where they provide the most benefit, and we let the machine do the work where that makes the most sense. And I think that's what this Sea Worker offers the potential of, and we're very excited to see how that goes today. So,
your reaction to the whole operation?
Oh, I think it's great, and I think it's exciting to see this technology come together here in Mississippi. So,
thus far, it's very encouraging. It's nice to hear from a diverse community of potential users of this technology and how excited they are. And as soon as they see this initial proof of concept that we're doing today, this field test that we're conducting, as soon as they see it, they start imagining many other things that we can do for them, and so that's how the applications evolve, improve, and how we reach broader markets.
If people have questions like more information, what should they do?
You can contact our website, www.noarc.org, and we'd be happy to enter into any discussions with you about your technologies and how we could employ them.